going to talk about the Police Hobble and its application and deployment. First, I want to talk about a serious medical condition that you may deal with on the street called excited delirium. Now, you respond to a call and you contact a subject who's exhibiting these signs and symptoms. He may have excited delirium. He may remove his clothing. He may be aggressive towards objects and glass. He may violently resist you and struggle with you when you're trying to detain him, talk with him, anything. He may have self-inflicted injuries, incoherent screaming or yelling, sudden loss of consciousness, talking incoherently. He may be sweating profusely. Prior to contact, you may notice he has hyperactivity. He may have hallucinations. He may not feel pain or have no pain feeling whatsoever. If you notice this on a subject you're dealing with, the first thing you want to do is alert EMS paramedic personnel and let them know you have a possible excited delirium subject. You want a second, possibly third, fourth, as many officers as you think you need to deal with this subject to arrive to safely deal with him. And you want to continue to use your cover and concealment when dealing with these subjects.
The specific design of this hobble is for simple application. It's easy to get on, it's easy to take off. If you have somebody combative, there's no problem getting it on, there's no binding, there's no clip that can break. It's a very simple product to use. The Police Hobble we'll be talking about today is made of 11mm static rope. It has a 1-inch steel ring on one end of the loop. On the other end, it has a 27 kilonewton climbing carabiner with locking capability. This particular designed hobble is made for easy application as well as easy removal. The loop itself extends all the way open in case the person that you're dealing with is extremely violent or combative. You can get that loop around both ankles, cinch up the loop, bring the carabiner around between the ankles and either lock it to the handcuffs, whether hinge or chain handcuffs, or bring it back around to the steel ring and lock the carabiner. When locking the carabiner, you turn the wheel, bring it up, finger strength, and it will be locked out.
Now let's talk about the maximum restraint position with the police hobbles. This is a technique that takes a minimum of 2 officers. Let's say for whatever reason, a subject is going to be a danger to himself, a danger to other officers, a danger to the public in general. He's already detained in handcuffs, and you deem it necessary to hobble him. We're right here. We're controlling his head and neck, controlling his trunk as much as possible. Officer 1 will stay there, controlling his head and shoulders. He's already detained in handcuffs, double locked. Officer 2 will go down and acquire the cross ankle position, ride it up, placing my weight onto his legs, getting his heels tight to his body. I'm the balls of my feet. I can still move away if I need to. I'm controlling him with his feet. I take the police hobble, open up the loop end, place it around both feet, pull the looping end tight to the body, to his ankles. With a shorter subject, you may need to wrap this a couple times. With a taller subject, like our demonstrator here, doesn't need that. Running end between the ankles, between his body and the handcuffs, and back up to the attachment ring. It's on the attachment ring. We lock down our locking carabiner. Subject's detained. We'll roll him on his side and monitor. There's many different ways to apply the maximum restraint position. We'll demonstrate a secondary option. Same, still a minimum of 2 officers, but I'm unable to achieve that cross ankle prone because he's too strong or whatever. I'll slide my leg down his leg while controlling this leg. I'm still in the balls of my feet. I'll place my knee in his tibial nerve, while Officer 1 will assist me by holding down his opposing leg. Take my police hobbles, again, open up the loop end, place around his feet, bring it back around the heels to the ankles, and tighten the looped end. Looped end tight. I'll run it between his ankles, around both ends of my loop, back up between his legs. Now that I'm in this position, I will use hobbles, bring it up, again, between his body and the handcuffs, bring the D-ring back to the attachment ring, and lock down our locking carabiner. Again, roll on the side and monitor. The maximum restraint position is the ideal restraint position for the police hobbles, but for whatever reason you can't get into that desired position, you can use a straight leg hobbling technique, which we'll demonstrate now. This requires, again, a minimum of 2 officers and a minimum of 2 police hobbles. It starts out the same. For whatever reason you have a detained subject, double lock handcuffs, face down. Officer 1 is still going to initially control his head and shoulders. Officer 2, I will again slide down, pinning his legs to the ground together, placing my knee on the tibial nerve, try to get a little pain compliance out of him. Again, I'll take my police hobbles, open up the loop end, place them around his feet. Once around the feet, I will tighten the loop end like so. This is when things differ from the maximum restraint position. Once here, I'll work the rope back away from the loop on the rope, locking it down, and then back through the ankles around both ends of the loop. From here, I'll just begin wrapping the running end around in between his ankles. Once it's at its desired tightness, so he's unable to move his feet apart, I'll bring it right back to the attachment ring and lock it down. From here, we'll take our second set of hobbles, police hobbles. You're going to open the loop end to its maximum capacity under the feet and work it up just above the knees on his thighs. We'll tighten it down. And to lock this rope in place so it won't loosen, we will go up towards his body, back down under the rope between his body and the rope, and then back to the handcuffs. Once on the handcuffs, again, we'll lock the locking carabiner. From here, we'll again roll him on his side and monitor his disposition. Now we have the subject hobbled. We need to transport him somewhere, be it hospital or jail. To transport them, it's preferable to use a detention vehicle, a van, large capacity area. It's easier to transport a hobbled still struggling subject in that manner. It is possible to transport them in a regular police vehicle, police car. Need a minimum of 3 officers to safely transport a hobbled subject, 1 on each arm, which I'll demonstrate in a second, and 1 on the legs. Do not, I repeat, do not lift the subject by the static line rope, or the handcuffs. What we'll do is we'll grab onto the bicep, tricep area, another hand underneath the shoulder, 3rd officer will be on the legs and lift the legs. Once we lift, we'll support the subject with our legs. And then we'll move them in a coordinated movement effort, together, step, step, step. When transporting a hobbled subject in a police car, you want to slide them in head first. You want to maintain a tight grip because they're still hobbled, they're going to continue to struggle. Once you ease them in, it's desired to have 2 officers transport that subject, 1 to drive, obviously, and the 2nd to monitor. If you have cameras to video the subject, that's also desirable. The subject's going to be transported to the hospital by ambulance. It is up to the paramedics' discretion whether those hobbles be removed. If they want to keep the subject hobbled until they get to the hospital, it's desired that an officer goes with that paramedic and that ambulance unit to remove those hobbles when they get to the desired location. Another option, talk to the subject. If he's not exhibiting signs and symptoms of excited delirium, tell him if he's calming down, say hey, ask him if he'd like to be taken out of hobbles, and if he'll cooperate and walk to the transport van on his own power, that's another option. You can take him off and escort him to a transport van or vehicle.
Restrain.